What is up, Coaster Conquerors? We are at the tail end of 2024, and because of this, I would like to reflect on this past year for me as a coaster enthusiast, and I would also like to discuss what I am looking forward to in the year to come. If you haven't done so already, be sure to like this video and subscribe with notifications on to be notified of more theme park related content like this. First off, I would like to acknowledge that this year was not very credit heavy for me, especially since I only obtained 6 new coaster credits this year. This is a big drop off compared to my 24 new credits acquired in 2023 alone. However, not only am I grateful to have been able to ride the coasters I've ridden in 2024, but I accomplished a major milestone in acquiring my first international coaster credits this past summer. The first major event I would like to acknowledge in 2024 is my one new American coaster credit I managed to acquire this year, that of which being the new Penguin Trek at SeaWorld Orlando in Orlando, Florida. This B&M launched family coaster opened to the public on July 7th, but I managed to get an early pass holder preview ride on July 2nd. On my rides on it that day, as well as my rides on it since then, I have found it to be an enjoyable family coaster, and I'm glad that B&M is starting to make these family coaster models. I'm also glad that SeaWorld has a good family coaster for those too short or scared of the big thrill coasters but have outgrown the Sesame Street rides in the park. I have also found its launch to be surprisingly punchy for a family coaster like it. However, I have noticed this brand new coaster has had a slight rattle even before its full public opening, but that issue is insignificant compared to the overall ride experience and even the awesome theming the ride has. I also managed to meet Matthew from Corny Coasters during this pass holder preview event. I had known him for his entertaining Instagram reels, and he also makes entertaining YouTube content, so I would highly recommend checking out his content. I also briefly ran into Zooter Loopers while he was capturing off-ride footage, but I did not get to feature him in my video, so hopefully he remembers that we ran into each other. Just weeks later, I went on my first major international trip by going to the UK and Ireland with my family. In the UK, I visited the cities of London, England, and Edinburgh, Scotland. I managed to see a lot of great sights in both of those cities, but I did not get to visit any of the UK parks like Thorpe Park or Alton Towers, since those were both pretty far from where we were staying, and they were not exactly on the agenda for my family. However, I did get to ride a miniature indoor drop tower ride when I visited the Edinburgh Dungeon in Scotland, so I guess I at least got a UK ride credit in. Surprisingly, however, I did get my first European credits ever when we flew one island over to the neighboring country of Ireland. At this point of the trip, my family was more willing to go out of the cities, so my cousin and I went a little ways out of Dublin to visit Emerald Park in Ashburn, Ireland. Here we got to experience a couple of great thrill coasters. One of the major coasters there is a Gravity Group wooden coaster called Cú Chulainn. This was a very fun coaster with plenty of airtime moments, a ridiculously long ride duration, and some decently smooth track for a large-scale woody like it. Even better than this ride, however, was the park's new for 2024 Vekoma suspended thrill coaster, that of which being Fianna Force. This coaster's punchiness, its smoothness, and its forceful twists, turns, and inversions have led me to consider this my favorite suspended coaster ever, even ranking above all of my B&M invert credits for me, and of course, it is by far the best coaster in the country of Ireland. We also rode some crazy flat rides in the park, as well as the park's family coasters. Although this park is smaller and less popular than some of the major UK parks, I still had a lot of fun at this park, and I'm glad it was my first park outside of the US that I had visited. Other than some visits to my home parks here in the US, those were the two things this year that I would consider major events for a coaster enthusiast. Despite my low number of new credits, I got some great experiences this year that I'm glad I managed to get. Now, as we move past the year 2024, I would like to discuss what I'm looking forward to most in the year 2025, especially since I already have some potential plans to experience new amusement parks and coasters. One of the biggest things I'm looking forward to for next year is the opening of Universal Studios Epic Universe in Orlando, Florida. The Universal parks in Florida are a couple of home parks of mine, and the fact that Universal Orlando Resort is getting a brand new park in late May that's bigger than the entire park resort itself is, well, epic. I'm planning to visit this park a few days after its opening, and I'm looking forward to all of its new coasters, attractions, and unique lands. What looks to be possibly the best pair of coasters in the park is Stardust Racers, which consists of 2 dueling Mack launch coasters with awesome looking layouts. This coaster might possibly end up being one of the best coasters in Florida, or I guess pair of coasters yet again. I'm also looking forward to the park's other new coasters. They have a Mack spinning coaster in the Dark Universe section of the park called Curse of the Werewolf, an Intamin launch coaster in the How to Train Your Dragon section called Hiccup's Wing Gliders, and a roller coaster in the Super Nintendo World section of the park called Minecart Madness that literally creates the illusion of the cart, the ride vehicle, jumping parts of the track. The amazing rides to come and the amazing theming of the park's unique lands makes this park truly something to look forward to, and I'm glad I get to visit it for the first time shortly after its future opening. The other big thing that might happen to me next year is a potential trip to Japan during the summer. This will be an incredibly big trip for me since it will be possibly my biggest international trip ever, and it will be my very first time visiting both the country of Japan and the continent of Asia as a whole. It is likely that if I do go to Japan, I will visit at least one amusement park, and I will likely go to one that is known for having major thrill coasters. The 2 biggest parks that fit this category in this country are Nagashima Spa Land in Kuwana, Japan, as well as Fuji-q Highland in Fuji Yoshida, Japan. So I will probably visit at least one of these 2 parks. Either one of these parks would be amazing to visit since they both have some awesome bucket list coasters. Nagashima Spa Land's best coaster looks to be its RMC hybrid coaster Hakuge, and I've heard nothing but incredible things about this ride. I'm already a big fan of RMC hybrids, and this coaster looks to have an awesome layout, with some awesome airtime moments, excellent pacing, and fun inversions. The park is also home to Steel Dragon 2000, the longest coaster in the world, as well as one of the first Giga coasters in the world, so riding this coaster would be my first Giga coaster outside of the US, as well as my first large-scale Morgan coaster. Fuji-q Highland's best coaster looks to be Asianica, an SNS 40 coaster that appears to be similar to X2 at Six Flags Magic Mountain, but from what I've heard, this one's even crazier and even better. I already love X2, so riding this would be truly amazing. The park is also home to Takabisha, a Gerstlauer Eurofighter with an incredibly steep 121-degree beyond vertical drop, and Fujiyama, a Togo hypercoaster that also looks to be one of the park's standout coasters. Either of these parks would be incredible to visit, so I definitely hope to visit at least one of them during my Japan visit next year. I'm also looking forward to the trip to Japan as a whole, since there will be plenty for me to do outside of the incredible amusement parks. That will be all for my reflection on this past year and my looking forward to the year to come soon. If you would like to see me do more discussion videos like this, feel free to comment down below any theme park or coaster related topics that I should make a discussion video on. As always, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on post notifications to be notified of more theme park related content like this. I wish y'all a happy new year, and I will see you all next year. Bye guys.